Why are GDP and jobs numbers defying slowdown predictions? Easy, because most new jobs are disguised government spending. They don't create anything, of course, but they sure do spend, and they're about to get a lot worse. A few days ago, the Wall Street Journal ran an excellent article on what they call the, quote, welfare industrial complex. They kick off asking what's driving America's job growth, concluding it's, quote, government, social assistance, and associated healthcare. In fact, more than half, 56%, of the 2.8 million net new jobs created last year were precisely that, government, social assistance, and healthcare. In blue states like New York and Illinois, those welfare jobs make up literally more than all the job gains. So 113% in Michigan, same in Illinois, 121% in New York. In other words, their real productive economy is actually shrinking. Without those jobs, from just the last year alone, nationwide, we would be close to 5% unemployment. If you add back the millions of workers who dropped out during COVID, we'd be closer to 8% unemployment. Now, welfare spending is GDP. To be sure, it will get Paul Krugman popping the bubbly, but it is not economic growth. It's not making us richer. In fact, it's economic deconstruction, converting formerly productive people into permanent wars of society. Indeed, if you go into poor areas in many of these states, you'll see literally nothing but welfare services. So nonprofits, Medicaid paid health clinics, government agencies, with a tiny sprinkling of gas stations and takeout with bulletproof glass. So the productive economy is actually shrinking, but the GDP numbers hide it. All pretty dire, but brace yourself because there's a lot more to come, as literally millions of new welfare cases pour in wholesale from what was formerly known as the border. The Journal reports that New York City is currently spending $394 per day on every single migrant. That's the price of a nice Disney vacation. That comes to $144,000 per year per migrant, which is of course far more than Americans make with actual jobs. Possibly more, since I can only imagine the games government activists play to hide the money they spend. Add these imported millions to the hundreds of thousands of, quote, drug-addled and mentally ill homeless living on the street, that is a quote from the Journal, and you've got the makings for some very impressive consumer spending. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. Those nosebleed trillions are just the start, since decades of experience has shown that the more government spends on welfare, the more people go on welfare. In Joe Biden's first stimulus bill, for example, they poured out nearly $43 billion in housing subsidies to end homelessness as we know it. So what happened? The homeless population shot up by 85,000. While homeless don't cost as much as migrants, they're just 86,000 a year, again, per person, which is also a very respectable salary anywhere in America. And again, that's taking the activists who run government welfare at their word. As the Journal notes, quote, progressive government doesn't do anything on the cheap. Indeed, they note Los Angeles is currently spending $837,000 per unit to build housing for the homeless. So at $144 a year per migrant and $86 per ruined life, times millions, you get the makings of some fantastic consumer spending numbers, even as the economy and the Treasury are gutted. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.